simple patch which has lasted nearly half a decade, if not more. Just words on this extraordinary achievement?
It's just incredible that he could be so consistent with the way he scores the 100 too. He has a pattern to how he scores his runs. And the thing that excites me the most is how he adjusts from the wicket on 2-3 days ago, how he played, to how he adjusted to those wickets today, which was a little bit slower and things like that. It just shows his attitude, his incredible thirst for runs, and just to be out there all through the game. And it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, we saw even the great Virat Kohli somewhat shockingly getting tired towards the end of the innings. He needed a little more liquid as he batted through those last few overs. We're just once again bringing the numbers out for you. 259, Tendulkar's record that was held for 17 years, and it has now been broken by some. There's not much between that. Ganguly 263, Ponting 266, Kallis 272. So in that era of great players, you could see but this record is going to take some beating. I mean, as much as the rules might change.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it does, because it's 10,000 runs you're talking about, not couple of thousand runs that maybe people might have a chance of getting there quicker. So over a period of time to do that, and doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Still very young, very fit, and like you said, looked a bit more tired, but didn't miss any runs even towards the end when he got to 150 with that too. You can't sort of praise enough what an achievement. 37 hundreds in 205 innings. It must be real nice feeling to be in that dressing room when once Virat Kohli is in, the rest of the guys don't have a lot to do.
I mean, the appetite for runs, very few batsmen, even in modern day cricket, or if the opposition's not as great as you expect, the appetite for runs. You look at Rohit Sharma, great player that he is in one day cricket, wonderful 100 last game, loose shot, out he goes. Virat Kohli somehow doesn't seem to give you too many chances. He gave one today, but he doesn't seem to he still manages to starve enough to keep scoring big runs game after game.
Yeah, and 10 boundaries in his till he got to the 100 today. So lots of running. Yeah, had a bit of luck today, must say. But makes it count. Once he sees even that test 100 that he got in that first test, at no point did he try to force the issue with the bowlers. He was quite content in batting. He could see there was 100 for the taking, but it's one thing to see it. The conditions are in favor. Another thing to do it as consistently as he does. It's hard to explain how someone can be as consistent. I mean, he obviously worked as hard as anyone else off the field, and that kind of translates. Running between wickets is a feature. Not many people have that. They are either guys who run well between the wicket or smash the ball. And he can do both until the end of the innings, which is a real feature of his batting.
He's a coach's dream, Phil Simmons, isn't he? Because you tend to say, your last innings is behind you, you have to restart, but it almost never happens. And here you have this guy, no matter how many he's got, no matter how many he continues to get, every inning starts afresh and goes through the same drill. Doesn't throw his wicket away again. Yes, we know there was a chance, but doesn't give you too many chances. Just does exactly what the coach would want him to do. Not too many shots in the air. Just goes about his business.
He plays the situation, and I think that's his greatest asset. He plays the situation of the game. We played him in the semi-final at T20 World Cup. He just played the situation, scored 80 without hitting a 6, and it just shows that he has the ability to assess the situation of the game as quickly as anyone else, but he has that mindset that knows when I'm to play, when I'm to take chances, when I'm not to take chances. And you never really see him taking chances, as in he played one shot from outside the off stump today, a lap, and it's the first time I've seen him play that, but he doesn't have to do it really.
All right, I know I teased this question in the pre-show as well, but I want to ask you again because it's a conversation we can keep having and we may not have the answers. You're an international coach, you have the unenviable job of trying to train bowlers. How do you get Virat Kohli out, or how do you bowl to Virat Kohli? We saw a conscious effort to bowl just about that outside off line to him early. He played a miss, I think one, maybe two off Kemar Roach. But how do you bowl to Virat Kohli to try and at least control the runs or just get him out?
I think Kemar Roach bowled excellent to him when he came in. I think that's the thing, the first 10, 15 balls, that's the line you have to bowl to him. And you have to be confident enough that you can keep that line for that time and try and get him out then. After that, for me, it's about more making him trying to hit more on the offside. I wouldn't want to bowl straight to him, because when you bowl straight to him, he can hit you over cover. He can hit you through mid wicket, as he did with Jason Holder with that ball where he walked down to him. So you'll be trying to make him hit through the offside as much as possible. And I think that's what you have to do when he's like this.
And you have to hope and pray he nicks one when you
Yeah,
bowl it outside.
I think it's happened. In 205 innings, it's happened only maybe a handful of times, if at all. No, that's the other problem the bowlers have. Once he's in, or if he doesn't nick early on, and early on I mean really in the first 10 balls or so, there's very few areas that you can control him as well, because he runs so well between wickets. Can rotate strike at will, and finds gaps. I mean, with 5 fielders inside the ring, a batsman of his caliber is going to hit you for boundaries at will once he's set, and he keeps doing that. It's just how consistently and how long an innings he keeps playing so regularly. It's just staggering, because like you said before, even Rohit Sharma is prolific in one-day cricket, but to do that day in day out, it's that's what separates him from the rest of the guys who are playing in his era.
All right. The other question I have, Phil, for you, we compare Tendulkar and Kohli so much, perhaps unfairly, but we must, because it's a great story. Tendulkar achieved this huge fanfare across the world, wherever he went, global recognition, loved in Australia, loved in the Caribbean. Where does Virat Kohli stand there? Is he still received as a superstar even in the Caribbean?
I think he is taking over from where Sachin left off, because I think he goes to different places. The series in Australia, I think 2 or 3 years ago, where he scored hundreds in the test matches, I think that just put him up there. And in the Caribbean, he's loved, totally loved in the Caribbean for the way he bats. It's a little bit of West Indian. I have to take a little bit, but he is just loved all over the world. And I think he's just taken over from where Sachin has left off.
Okay. The one thing that if he does offer you a chance when he's on 44, even if you're running back and it's not the easiest to catch, just take it with all might.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sitter at this level, really. A bit sort of casual holder, possibly thought he got there, but if you don't watch it go into your hands, and that's the other greatness. I mean, you can give him a chance, but he makes you pay. You saw in that first test in England, got dropped on 20, went on and made 140 odd. So, don't drop Virat Kohli.
Yeah, it's coming on Facebook Live as well. All the praise for the Indian captain, the GOAT, greatest of all time, says Rodney Motero. There are wishes coming from Tharindu Sandurwan from Sri Lanka. There is also greatness being restored. If this is indeed true, it's an excellent stat. Just 12 innings is what it's taken Kohli to go from 9,000 to 10,000 runs. So Rajiv Mulchandani with that. Sean Hussain, Virat Kohli is a better striker of the ball than Romelu Lukaku. I'm going to leave Ajit Agarkar and Man United loyalist that he is.
Wasn't a very good late night yesterday.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the cricket. Your comments can continue to come in. Obed McKay on his debut. Phil Simmons brought on after 18 overs. Had MS Dhoni as his first wicket. He'll sleep well tonight perhaps. But he could have had Kohli and Dhoni. Just thoughts on his first outing in international cricket?
I was happy with him. He didn't look like he was phased. He looked like if he was able to come and do all the things that he wanted to do. And at the end of the day, we saw the slower ball coming out at the right time, especially to MS.
All right, we'll just reestablish our connection with Phil. Just take us a minute. But yes, Obed McKay,
looks to have all the goods to succeed in one-day cricket. Obviously, with experience, will learn, sort of the different balls to bowl at different stages. Maybe went too much slower ball after he got MS out. To a good one. Got to feel for him a little bit. Got on after 18 overs and then made to bowl the last 5 out of the 10 overs by the captain. That's the one little criticism we had of Jason Holder in the test matches as well. Bats at number 8, doesn't possibly bowl himself enough. Again today, just bowled 6 overs and left the debutant to do all the dirty work really. At 5 overs in the last 10, when there's a Virat Kohli at the other end or at one stage, MS got out to him first ball. But those sorts of guys batting or a Rishabh Pant, you've got to feel for the youngster. I mean, he'll be better for that experience. But I think the West Indies captain should take a bit more responsibility, especially when he's in such good form, and not leave it to other guys.
20 overs for the spinners, 2 for 46 for Ashley Nurse, almost pick of the bowlers, and none for 48 for Bishu. India played 3 spinners. It seemed dry from Ian Bishop at the pitch report before the game. Did it seem like it was gripping or assisting the spinners more than usual?
Yeah, I mean the Indians are better quality spinners, so you'll probably see, unless the dew comes in and it doesn't spin as much, but looked like there was enough grip. Even the slower balls gripped the surface enough. Yeah, you would think there is enough. It's such a small ground though, that if a batsman gets going and the ball doesn't grip as much as the Indians are hoping, could be an interesting chase. It obviously be a tough one for the West Indies, with Kuldeep playing as well today. But the size of the ground, I mean, you can hit boundaries consistently if you play good shots and pierce the gap, or you can clear the fence as well. So, Indians would be desperately hoping that it starts turning more and more as the game goes on, because if not, they could be in for a challenge against this West Indies lineup.
And we know that this lineup is capable of hitting big, as Shimron Hetmeyer did show us in the last game. We're just going to throw some numbers for you. Marlon Samuels got a duck in the last one, but never rule him out against India in India. But the most runs this season for the Windies, we showed you these numbers. Hetmeyer right on top. They've also got Shai Hope, they've got Rovman Powell, Jason Holder's on that list. So these guys have got runs this year. They were instrumental in getting the Windies through to the World Cup earlier in Zimbabwe in the qualifiers this year. So make no mistakes of that. Shimron Hetmeyer, very good against spin, took the game on early. Karen Powell started well. They went hard last time. Does it help that they know how much they need to get now, just to not go too hard at times when they shouldn't?
I think that's the way they'll bat. I think they batted that way in the test matches, so I can't imagine them batting any differently, and they shouldn't. I mean, of course, you've got to play the situation, have a little bit more awareness and pick the right ball. But if they can put that pressure on the Indian bowlers, funny things happen. India's playing with 2 seamers as well. Like I said, India'd be hoping that their spinner, the ball does grip the surface. If it does, then it becomes a different ball game with the kind of runs that India's put. If it doesn't, these guys with their attacking, and hopefully they won't change. Powell at the top looked really impressive. Yeah. If he can again get going and go on and sort of bat 25-30 overs, that could put West Indies in a position where they can maybe have a chance to chase this total down.
Yeah, Phil, we've got you back now. Just the conversation we're having, they know how much they need to get. Do you designate roles for the different types of batsmen the West Indies have? Chandrapal Hemraj, Shai Hope, Samuels bat through, and maybe Kieran Powell, Hetmeyer and the rest go hard. Do you do that sort of thing now that you know how many need to get? How would you go about it?
Yeah, I think you have to each understand the situation that you're in. You're chasing 322, but you can't get it in 20 overs. So the likes of Powell and Hemraj, they have to give the team a good start. The less wickets we can lose in the first 15 overs, although we might be a little bit under the rate, but we have the big hitters. Marlon can come in and take the game away from the team. So the top 2 have a responsibility of making sure that we get a good start, and then after that, then the others have the chance to take it on and get us to 322.
Now, Marlon Samuels, you mentioned, Phil, is going to be important for them in spite of the duck that he got in the last innings, because whenever Marlon Samuels comes to India, he tends to have a wonderful little tour. Here's more on the West Indies talisman.
7 out of the 15 touring West Indians have not played an international game in India yet. The torchbearer they will depend upon to find success is their oldest squad member, Marlon Samuels. After all, he knows India since his first tour 16 years ago, when he made 2 centuries. But was also nearly sent home for breaching a curfew. It's also in India where he steered the West Indies to their 2nd World T20 final win. Yep, that night when he showed up to meet the press like this. We could recall more such antics from Samuel's 18-year-long career, but we'd rather talk about his stroke play, especially in big matches. He's one of only 8 West Indians with over 1,000 ODI runs against India, with more than 900 of them coming in India. In fact, the last time the Calypsos arrived for a bilateral series, he struck 2 tons. He also bowled 3 overs of his suspect off breaks and bagged 2 wickets. standing just outside this elite club of West Indians to have played over 200 ODIs, Samuels will shoulder the responsibility to hammer runs on flat tracks, especially with his fellow Jamaican not around.
He's one of the mavericks of international cricket. Marlon Samuels continues to add to his already colourful tale. But let's speak of just the impact he's had in India. We showed you those 200s on his first tour, one in a test, one in an ODI. You were playing that ODI at Vijayawada. When you remember till date how explosive that innings was.
Yeah, was on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
We had them 3 or 4 down, I think, at the start, and obviously very young. Then Samuels came and played a blistering knock. Put West Indies got enough, and we couldn't chase that down. So, yeah, very aware of his ability. And although it's been a few years, he's in recent times, especially in T20 cricket, played some telling innings or match-winning innings in big games. So they'll need him to hold that innings together at number 4. Also plays spin well. So, they'd hope that he's got his one bad innings out of the way. West Indies would hope, but his record against India tells you the story. I mean, he's always enjoyed playing here, which again, you need that experience. I mean, the rest of the batting around him doesn't have much of that. So that one experienced batsman needs to stand up.
Would it please you to know that you were the only pacer that went it under 6 and over that day?
I do remember those.
You had a good day actually. Yeah. Got a couple of wickets, Ajit Agarkar, but India went on to lose the series. It was 3-all in the 7th ODI. Phil, quick word on Samuels. He's had so many different incidents in his career. How does the West Indies public and is the general perception in Windies cricket on Samuels? He seems like he still has a lot to offer in both the shorter formats of the game. What is your assessment of Marlon Samuels and the possible role that he has to play for West Indies cricket for the immediate future?
I think you've got to know how to nurse Marlon. You've got to know how to deal with Marlon to get him to do what the team needs. And I think if they're treating Marlon well and they're getting him to understand that he's an important part of the team, then Marlon will always want to play for you and always want to score. And the first match in the 2014 series showed what he is like if the early part of the batting gives him a start and he comes in with a free hand to play. So I think that's the importance of Marlon in this team here, that he gets a chance when the top order plays well, that he comes in and has a free hand to play.
Does he sometimes make it harder for himself to be nursed, Phil?
Yeah, Marlon is Marlon. I think when you when you're Marlon, you do things how you feel that they should be done. So sometimes people don't agree with it, but that's how he is.
All right, well, that's how he is, and that's how the West Indies will need him to come up with if they are to chase this down. Quick word on Kuldeep Yadav, who makes a comeback into this team. The use of Kuldeep Yadav, and he could be key here and just choking the middle overs as he does.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Chahal did in the previous game in spite of West Indies scoring 322. You'd expect Kuldeep to add a bit more to that, a lot more to that Indian attack. Most teams around the world have found it difficult to score off him, or if not score, he's picked. If they scored off him, he's picked up wickets, which is what India lacked in the previous game. So, yeah, I think if he bowls well, he'll be a handful for the West Indies.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it, Phil? A lot of teams know that Kuldeep Yadav is a left-arm wrist spinner that they'll need to tackle when they play India. But how do you train for him? Very few have them in their squad or even as net bowlers. England have tried using a machine to get used to Kuldeep Yadav. How do you prepare to face a bowler of that type?
Yeah, the only way you prepare is if you have bowlers like that, which we have in Afghanistan. We have 2 or 3, so we could rent them out. But if you don't have bowlers like that you can practice again, it's difficult. And I would like to see England's machine, but he's a handful in any format of the game. So we'll see how he goes today.
The only good thing for the West Indies is a lot of them have played him in the Test match.
Yeah.
So at least they've seen a bit of him. I know white ball cricket's a bit different. You still have to score quickly, but at least they've faced him. It's not an unknown for them.
Very well. Prediction?
But it's
you've got to go with India. I think there was enough there in that pitch. You think another spinner will make things difficult for the West Indies. At this stage you've got to back India.
India got 320 with ridiculous ease, but it's a different proposition for the West Indies now. Phil Simmons, thoughts? Will they get it?
It's a difficult situation. The openers have got to give West Indies a good start and then let everyone else bat around them. But it's a difficult thing, especially with Kuldeep in the team now.
Very well. Many thanks to Phil Simmons and to Ajit Agarkar. We will get their thoughts at the end of this game to see if India have taken a 2-0 lead or the West Indies have batted out of their skins and managed to peg back and level the series. Download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app to stay up to date with this second innings, and we'll see you for ESPN Cricket for match day after that.